Oh, hey, guys, that's just me rubbing my very comfortable Barefoot Dreams blanket on my face. If you're not watching, you can hear it. Oh, wait, you can't hear it. That's because this is called Cozy Chic Fabric. I talk about these guys at the beginning and the end of every episode because they're the sponsor this season, and I'm so grateful to partner with a brand that I truly can't get enough of. I got robes, blankets, pillows. They're all over the studio. They're all over my house. The Olympics still going on, or they were. Team USA, Barbie, Star Wars, Disney. They partner with a bunch of brands. They also just have stuff around the house. We got candles. They're such a wholesome, well-rounded brand that's so comfortable. And guess what? You can make your life even more cozy and comfortable by checking them out and putting the promo code POPUP15 for 15% off your first purchase at barefootdreams.com. Let's go. Do you think you have resting douche face?
Oh, yeah, dude. I got resting douche face.
Let's see it. Like you're at the mall right now. Oh, my God, what a douche.
Yeah, dude, it's over. It's over.
What a day. Yes, hello. Welcome back to the Pop-Up with Paul and Friends. Guys, thanks for coming back. You're here. You made it. I love doing this show because I meet great people in Los Angeles and beyond all the time. This next guy, you know, he's intimidating when you first meet him at the comedy club. He looks like he might be there modeling. He might be there. I don't know what he's doing. He looks like a guy like you've seen, and then I'm like, maybe I have seen this guy. I think I have. You know, in Hollywood, you run into those people. You're like, I think I've seen him in life or on TV or somewhere. He's one of those guys. He's always funny. He's always smart, and he's a down-to-earth dude, despite, I think, maybe cliches about good-looking, handsome men like him. Put your hands together for Leo Dottavio. Did I say it right?
Yes, sir. You nailed it, of course. Castabile.
Hey, I didn't mean to say that I think because you're a handsome guy that you wouldn't be real, but you know what I mean, right? In Hollywood, sometimes people...
Yeah, no, I feel like there's guys, I think it depends on when you became popular. If you're a handsome guy that became popular when you, like a Disney Channel guys, they never are, they're just not humble. They think that the world just revolves around them and they can be like dicks, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so I feel you on that.
I just like meeting cool people who are trying to be funnier on stage. You seem that way. And we got chatting backstage at a club or something. Yeah. It's always fun when I meet somebody who I could distract other comedians on stage because we're hitting it off. I like that. I'm like, oh, I can't stop talking to this guy.
Hell yeah,
the
dude.
comedian on stage might hate this, but we're becoming friends. This is nice.
And you live where I grew up in Studio City.
Which is weird.
Yeah. What's
it like for transplants coming in like me trying to do this stuff where you grew up?
I like it when someone is backed by, you know, years of hard work. Usually, I mean, obviously the prom kings and queens that come in here, it's a little annoying because I'm a guy that, I'm from where all this stuff happens. But, you know, I took the long route, you know, theater back in the day. And I'd been doing stand up for 5 years and I did some reality TV, but it was like, that was already after I had done years of like stand up and, you know, acting and stuff. So when people like the craft, if you just actually like it, I think there's more of a chance of you making it. But yeah,
totally.
It can be annoying when the prom kings and queens come in here and just want to get famous. And then I was in a movie with Denzel or something. I'm like, oh, you were an extra in a movie with Denzel. You know, there's a lot of those.
I've met a lot of people in entertainment and people, it's almost like a mafioso thing, which I'm leaning into with you, with your name, because you're Italian.
Dude. Of course.
You don't really like real ballers. I've learned people with money, people who've done well in entertainment. They don't have to run their mouths about it. You just don't have to.
You don't have to. Yeah,
right?
Other people will. You know,
that's the baller move.
Yeah, when you don't have to state your I don't know your come ups, your success stories. That's when you know you've done okay in life. You know?
My dream. This might be every Italian kid's dream, but I literally just want to go to a restaurant. I want someone to pick up a table and carry it through the restaurant.
Hell yeah.
And put it down in the best spot in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And then put a tablecloth on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the level of like, I don't
Some
need to say a
Goodfellas.
word.
Yeah.
I want that.
You want that long shot in Goodfellas with the tracking shot? Yeah, that'd be the best.
Continuous shot, yes. Somehow they're filming. Maybe it's my reality show.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's the dream.
What Italian restaurants do you even like in L.A., though?
None.
Yeah, I know, man. It sucks, man. We need one. Obviously, have you been to Dan Tana's?
Yeah, but that's like a good ambiance.
Ambiance, not the food. Yeah.
I actually haven't eaten there.
It's, they have what they say is the best chicken parm in the city, which it is, but I don't know if that's saying much in LA, but it is it's good. Yeah. It's good. But the ambiance is nice. That's really what you go there for.
I'm not a snob, though. I'm an ambiance guy. Like Musso and Frank's my favorite restaurant here.
Love Musso and Frank's.
All the time. We should go sometime.
Yeah, let's go to Musso and Frank's.
Martini and a cigar with you would be fun.
That sounds amazing, man.
Talk to me about this journey you've been on because I know you did play baseball too.
I did.
You did kind of a bunch of stuff, and then The Bachelor, was it?
Yes, Bachelorette. Bachelorette.
Yeah. So did you feel a pull from the baseball world to like get back into this business? Like, you're like, is this town intoxicating like that?
It kind of is. You know, my dream was to make it to the major leagues, and I was a pretty good high school and college baseball player. I played D1. I played at UCLA.
Nice.
Then I went D2 after basically at UCLA. When I got there, the coach that recruited me, he left. It was Gary Adams, and then Savage came in, and then he had all his guys, and I was on the team. But it seemed to me, and I saw a lot of guys. I talked to a lot of guys on the team, and a lot of guys in Division I baseball will just like not play for 4 years. Or they'll play like their senior year or maybe their junior year. But it's like I knew that like with the recruiting class he brought in that I wasn't going to play much. So then I went to a D2 and it ended up being nice, fruitful. I mean, it paid for school, which was nice.
Nice.
But it was a huge part of my life. Baseball was just like I was obsessed with baseball, and I did think I was going to make it to the major leagues. I had a lot of the tools, you know. I think if I would have done it again, like what I didn't understand at the time is I was a very good hitter, but you have to focus and become a master at one position. You have to be like unbelievably good at one position.
Got it.
So when I was done playing baseball, I mean, the thing about growing up in LA is that my PE class in middle school and in high school was dance class, for example, and then theater, like production and shit, like because it was always about the arts over here. So that kind of opened my eyes to stuff. My dad was he was a big golden age of Hollywood guy. He loved Brando. He loved all the greats, you know. So it was kind of like something that he didn't really support me going into it, really, obviously, because he didn't, you know, he knows the odds of making it in the industry are crazy, but. Yeah, it was the pull of like, well, if this guy can do it, you know what I mean? And like, I had done so many little plays growing up, like in elementary school, and I had gotten a couple of leads, and I was like, this is so fun. Yeah. Besides baseball, I was like, the only thing to give me that adrenaline rush was acting. You know what I mean? So.
It's also like you feel like you're cheating the system a little when you make money in this business. That as a kid, that doesn't really go away. It's like, oh, I'm getting paid to like sort of be myself and perform or do a little ditty. Or I still try to hold on to that perspective, especially in the stand-up space, because I'm as old as you in stand-up. So like, if I make a little money or even just getting the laughs, like it is such a fun job. Even though there's a lot of sad clowns out there that are depressed and do stand-up.
Oh yeah,
but
you've noticed that. You've noticed that. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
You know what I mean, though, like. That's the part of it. I think we're all a part of us is still kids that just like want to play for a living, and so many people in this town do. Like you make a lot of money making movies, and it's obviously it's hard work. I'm not discrediting the hard work, of
course,
but to play.
But it it never feels like a job. It feels like the imposter syndrome is pretty easy to like come upon you when you're doing this stuff because you're like, man, I'm getting paid this much to do this stuff. It's like it feels like a gift from the universe, you know what I mean? But yeah, like to be able to make money doing this stuff it's a dream. It's a dream come true. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you always wear jerseys because of your baseball past? You're like, I still got to feel.
They're in right now, so I've been using them recently. You know, I felt like they're cool for like. I have a show later today. I stand up, so it's like I feel like they're cool enough. Like they're a little dressy for the stage, but also playful and like, hey, I'm just messing around.
You want people to know you're a slugger. You're like,
exactly.
I can still hit them.
I can still hit him, man.
This is who I am, man.
That's right. That's right.
You play in Japan? Is that why you're wearing that?
No, it's. I just love Shohei Ohtani. This is actually one of the fans of my pod. He sent me a link to an Amazon. Oh. It was like $25 for this jersey. Nice. So I was like, you know what? I'll pick it up. Yeah.
Speaking of your podcast, your YouTube, you're somebody also because you're obviously I said like you look like somebody I knew. But you have a big audience in the stuff you're doing, so that must be fun. Also, like week by week, you're putting out content with Danny and a bunch of people. And how's that all going?
It's awesome, man. I feel blessed. You know, I collab with this guy, Danny Mullen, like it's like 6 years ago now. But we started a podcast and a YouTube channel with his YouTube channel. But I was kind of like the straight man at the beginning. He was a very goofy out there guy, and we were just going around kind of doing like comedy on the street. And we have a niche now that's pretty interesting. There's just not a lot of people doing what we do. And it's been great, man. I think his channel, we've been averaging like over 200,000 views for years now. And then the pod's been about 25,000 listens, which is it's a good spot to coast at. But, you know, the struggles of keeping it, the growth, it's a lot of pressure every week, and
Yeah.
especially with the stuff we're doing. Like it's like we're taking a little bit from the old Howard Stern days, you know,
Nice.
where we have like this 39-year-old virgin kid that's been on the pod recently, and we've been having fun with him, bringing him on. You know, we lasted 2 weeks ago. We had him just go on a date with a girl on the podcast.
Nice.
It's pretty horrific, you know, if I'm being honest, but it's a lot of fun, man. It does
Yeah.
not feel like a job. It
Nice.
feels like I'm goofing around with my buddies, and somehow this is making me a living, which is crazy.
I think that's a dream level of this stuff that we're talking about. It's also why it's fun and playful.
Yeah.
You know, you build it and you can grow on it. But you're also acting too. I think
Yeah.
you're a good example of a guy who's kind of busy in all the buckets.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's interesting. Your own advice. You're also mastering all the forms. You're not really doing one position here either. Neither am I. I'm the same. I like to do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think if you have the ability to do that, I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea. I mean, for example, like I've it's taken me a long time, but I've kind of not mastered, but I'm pretty good at like the audition process now. So it's like, why not keep going on auditions while I'm doing all this other stuff? I'm making a living with the YouTube stuff, and then the stand up has been because we've been able to sell tickets on the road. And in LA, we can get some people out if we get free tickets, so hit me up if you ever want free tickets to our show. Me and Paul are going to be on some shows together too.
Yeah.
So if you want free tickets, hit me up because that's how you get people in LA. I mean, it's just too expensive, man. So I think free tickets help out. But on the road, it's been good to sell some tickets. The podcast, you'd think like the 25,000, but if we get little pockets of people from all, you know, and like for the big markets, it's easy to sell some tickets. So.
Cool.
The cool thing is, like, it doesn't. It's easy to get about 90% of the tickets to 100% of the tickets at almost any venue all over the nation. You know, they're down to just take the drink sales, which is kind of cool. So I had no idea that it worked like that for tickets, which means, I mean, people don't understand this, but if you can sell 200 tickets a weekend, but that's that you're making decent money. But if you can sell 500 or 1,000 tickets a weekend, which is my goal eventually, to maybe more than that, you're making a really good living.
Yeah.
And people just don't know that. But it is, that, ticket sales are just like, it's just like anything else. 500 tickets, $40. It's a lot of money,
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the game I never thought about either because I've always just wanted to get funnier on stage. But the business of going on the road is very enticing business-wise, but also like it's really fun to see different crowds every
Oh,
weekend.
my God.
That's what's smart about you guys doing stand-up with a big YouTube presence because you can bring your audience and do shows like you do. Like I've been at your shows, people have a good time, it's packed, people are having fun.
Yeah.
Like that's how comedy venues should feel.
Yeah.
How's stand-up for you though? Because you can't do stand-up and not be working at stand-up. So I've seen you do shows. You're always doing stand-up also.
Yeah.
We met at a show that wasn't yours.
Yeah. Jimmy's, right? Jimmy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I do a show with Jimmy where it's basically I'm the all-time host, so I host every week. So basically I'm doing about 90% to 80% crowd work every time I'm there, which for me feels it's the most fun to do crowd work.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, like when I rip a set, I'm never as sharp as I am with the crowd work. So it is humbling to do, stand-up is humbling, if you know what I mean? Yeah. The good thing is, I'll say this. When you have a podcast and these guys have been following it for a while, they know you almost better than your friends.
Yeah.
So it's like you can kind of be just, just a fucking, for me, it's 99% dudes that are listening to it. So it's like I can be like a fratty version of myself, and it's pretty easy to make them laugh on the road. But then again, in LA, I'll have a crowd with like 5 chicks with blue hair, and then like a group of gay dudes, and then a group of like some maybe like some people from out of town, maybe some Venezuelans or something. So that's like making them all laugh.
It's a challenge.
At my dick jokes. It's not as it's a challenge, as you know. Yeah.
That's like anybody with success in stand-up though. Like you can't you have to be funny to anyone, and that's why I'm so intrigued by it. Like you can't just rest on your laurels of a fan base. Even Jerry Seinfeld can't. You have to be funny.
You got to be funny.
That's what's fun about it, though. That
So
poll,
fun.
It's a game.
It's a game, and like it's kind of like anything else. That it's going to take a long time to be good at it, and I'm willing to do that work. I like the grind of. It just feels like every time I do a show, it's like a great feat that I've accomplished. Like, oh, that was fucking crazy. I got a little better today, just a little bit better. And then I think about it for the future. I do love crowd work, though. We were talking about that earlier.
I do too.
I watched like Don Rickles, like his
My
1960s crowd work. Just still so funny.
Oh, yeah.
There's no other stand-up from that era that is still, in my opinion, as funny as Don Rickles'
No.
stuff now. You know,
He's
it's
the
like
best.
he's the best, man.
He's actually my favorite stand-up of all time.
That's awesome, man.
I love that you've seen the Reagan inauguration.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorites ever.
Dude, he's the man.
I've talked about people who've worked with him in here and some veterans of stand-up. And
That's awesome.
One thing I love about him that I think you have as well is like there's an integrity through the ribbing and through the ribbing's a weird word, but like through the jest.
Yes.
That I really like. I talk about this too much on this show, but like I grew up with my buddies, and to this day, that's how we show love. Don Rickles was somebody who would tear you down, but that's how he would show love. And at
Yes.
the end, it'd be like, "God bless you, people." I mean, he would call people's wives dogs to their
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
But like, there's something endearing. I know.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
Oh, that's your wife. She's a dog.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And he's always. I love he was waving his wife's hand like with the jewelry, like, "Oh, what I want this week."
Yeah.
But it was so not mean, and that's what's interesting about. There's such a fine line though, and I think it's deeper than like we realize. Like he just naturally was that way.
Yes.
You can't go on stage and roast everybody and also just be a dick for real.
You're right.
And I think that's what's so interesting about him and what you're doing and what we're trying to do is like we have heart, but let's just laugh and poke fun at one another a bit. You know, that's
Yeah.
my favorite type of humor, honestly.
Same, you know, and it's a shame. I mean, some of that has gone away a little bit, but it's coming back.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially after the Tom Brady roast.
I
man.
know.
Boy, did that like they went backwards with like the things we were not allowed to say and allowed to say, and they went backwards a little bit with it, which is good because I feel like the one place where you should be able to hear anything and everything is a comedy play. You know, it's a comedy venue. It should be the place where it's free speech. It's like without any restrictions. I mean, if somebody doesn't like this word or that word, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's some things that should be off limits, but it's like, you know, for the most part, let's relax the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's have
Also,
some fun.
When you like level the room with something that's happening in the room or a person in the room, it's such a rewarding feeling. If you get the crowd, you're like, look at this guy.
Oh my God,
I can't help it.
Oh yeah,
Like it's like an AD thing for me.
you got to say something.
I'm like, look, this is guy. Look at this. What's this happen here?
Oh, yeah.
How good are you at roasting? Do you do it a lot?
I do tend to say I can roast people pretty good, especially when I can understand their backgrounds, like Latinos, for example. A lot of stuff about having, you know, too many kids or this or that and especially if they're my fans, if they're younger college kids, you know, I can roast them really well. I'm not great at roasting chicks. I would
Why is
say
that?
just because I feel like they already look at me like such a douchebag. I feel like anything I say that's like negative to her. So I tend to like kind of twist the crowd work with the girls. Usually it's about them being hot and single and, you know, and complimentary. Are you looking for a dude? You know, I try to play Cupid sometimes in the crowd. That's one of my favorite moves.
Do you think you have resting douche face?
Oh yeah, dude. I got resting douche face.
Let's see it. Like you're at the mall right now. Oh my God, what a douche.
Yeah, dude, it's over. It's over.
It's just,
I look like a guy. Yeah, I look like a guy that might spend. I mean, I used to manicure my eyebrows even more, but now it still looks like I spend too much time manicuring my eyebrows. You know what I mean?
Meanwhile, they say you're supposed to take care of your face, and your
Right.
men's grooming is important. They say.
You're right.
And Italian men, that's what Italian men do. We groom.
We groom, man. We
just
were
gotta-
taught to be like. I feel like were you taught like growing up like being dirty or stinky or like unkempt is just like one of the worst things you could ever be?
Yes. But also, once I went to Italy and lived there, I saw men in suits with purses on Vespas, and I was like, doing their nails, like having perfect nails. I was like, everyone's perfect.
That's crazy.
And I realized like men can have that too.
Hell yeah.
But I still like identify with like the wearing a wife beater, having oil on my shirt too. So I'm like a hybrid, hybrid groomer.
I love that.
I won't
man.
touch my eyebrows though, and I just got a new white eyebrow. It just came out a couple months ago.
I like it, dude. It kind
So
of looks
it's the
dope. It
new-
looks like the Jason Momoa scar. You know?
Yeah, I've kind of got my
Kinda
own little
dope.
white Jason Momoa, and people say I remind them of him, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know?
I could see that.
Yeah, you get.
Oh, every day, man. Yeah, the Momoa. Yeah, Aquaman. Aquaman is what I get every day.
I like that you say the crowd work with women too, though, because there is something about that. Also, like your history with the Bachelorette too. Like you've been in the space of being a guy out there dating and
Yeah.
in a crazy dating town. What was the experience like when you were on the Bachelorette? Was that funny? Did people recognize you after? Like, what was the crazy experience about that?
It was wild, man. I mean, that show was, especially it was when I was on it about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 years, 6 years, about 6 years ago now. It was popping at the time, especially Bachelor in Paradise, where I actually was like, I was a big villain. So that got me like tons of articles about my toxic masculinity, which was taught by my Italian father, by the way. But
Google it.
Oh yeah, but it was fun, man. Yeah, it was. I always was like, I wonder what it would be like to be able to get recognized, to have a little fame, and it wasn't like that's what I was after. But the universe, be careful what you wish for, because it often comes into fruition. So. It was cool, man. Like I remember at the peak of it, right after I went on, I went to Disneyland and I probably signed 5 autographs plus like took 50 photographs. Like a chick, she was probably on the spectrum, but she did come up and cry to, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was really endearing, you know.
That's interesting because you were a villain, because those reality TV villains like sometimes can get really stuck where they are also hated.
Oh yeah, I would say no. There's people out there who really hate me and don't understand how reality shows work. I can't say too much because I did sign a very specific contract, but can't say how the inner workings of it is. But yeah, dude, it's ridiculous that people think that what you do and say on a reality show is really you. You know what I mean? But it was a gig, and I was having fun. But also, given the choice, like, you know, if I have off camera, I'll tell you what the choice was. But I thought it was the best choice to be the villain.
You're talking about you can, and also as an actor, you got fun with it.
Yeah,
it's comedy. We're talking about roasting. Comedy. It's comedy. It's funny.
Yes.
But I've interviewed other reality stars in my TV jobs, and I've talked about this because there was just a show like last year where it was all villains in one house or something.
I remember that. Yeah,
I interviewed somebody for that, and we were talking about like this guy in particular. I don't remember his name, so I can't even air it out, but. I kind of had I felt a little bad that like he was kind of destigmatized who he was to the world. And you're not a guy who seems like you're in that box at all. But you got on the show and were known for it for a bit. So
yeah. Hey, well, you know, it was the way I look at it was kind of a blessing in disguise that I ended up having the villain tag, because it was there was a period right after where I wasn't getting any auditions, no work at all in the industry. It was funny because right before I went on The Batch, I had the most momentum in my acting career I had ever had. I had gotten this little niche in like the stunt acting industry where I would have a couple lines and then do like a fight or this or that. And then I had booked a big national commercial, and then I got this opportunity to do The Bachelorette, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. Be dumb not to. It was a lot of fun in many ways, but it did affect my acting career for a long time.
Yeah.
But what it did was kick off my YouTube career.
That's cool.
Yeah, which then ended up, that's how I make a living right now. So it's like I would have still had to have like some side job. I would have been working at a bar. I would have been working some kind of gig like that to make, you know, ends meet. Yeah. But because of me getting basically, you know, canceled on The Bachelorette, I was able to go into this dark world of YouTube at the time, which then now ended up being a kind of a platform for stand up and all.
That's great.
It's funny the way the world works.
It's great, and also you're that's the key to reality TV, because I think if you use it as a vehicle to expand what you want to be doing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the key to it. You played the game perfectly. You like rode the wave of it.
Right.
Is there anything that's we don't have to stay on Bachelorette too long, but is there anything ever that really funny that came from that experience being the villain? Like anything in life, like did someone like try and like spit out, like yell at you, or something ever happened that was weird because of it?
Yeah. This, right after it happened, only one time. Most of the time, it's funny because you get a lot of hate. I mean, I still to this day get hate about The Bachelorette, but also from my YouTube channel, just people just like to hate. You know, as you know, online, it's a good percentage of them, and a lot of the vocal people online happen to hate all the time, but. One girl kind of yelled something, like she was like, "You're an asshole," just from a car one time, and I was like, "Leo, you're an asshole," and I was just like, "Okay, that's cool."
Yeah.
You know, I was with a girl at the time, so it wasn't the best, you know what I mean? But I was like, "Oh yeah, that's nothing." But it was like, you know, people, they look at you and think like, you know, I had a person from like my youth that like text me advice and like, hey man, like if you want to come over to God sometime. I was like, my relationship with God's fine. Like I'm all right. I said a couple things in Mexico on the Bachelor in Paradise. I'm not like, I don't need to go over
Thanks, man.
I don't need to go and confess my sins, but it was it was weird. People's reactions are really strange.
It's funny. It's out of your control how the world sees whatever you. It's same with stand up. It's same with any. Look, we pick a job where we put ourselves out there. So like, you can't control people's perception. I also think it's smart where you're at in your career. Having that title then is giving you really thick skin for what you're doing now in the future.
Yes.
Like the more you do stand up, the more your channel grows. More acting you do, like it's not going to get easier.
No, it's not.
That's actually my problem. I think like I want everyone to like if you're not liked, it also helps.
Yes.
You also grow. If you're not going to please everybody.
You can't please everybody. Yeah, that's something that definitely comes I feel like with maturity, but it's a different kind of maturity. It's like maturity in the game. Like when you get to a place where you don't care about public humiliation, like you are free, you kind of become like free with it. So it's a place that, you got to get comfortable being in.
I feel like I'm 5 years into stand up as well, which is interesting about us. And I am fine with it. And it's honestly really freeing because like, let's have some fun. And it's the perspective is shifted,
Right.
Like every night we're doing this stuff. Tonight you're going to go on stage and we don't know what's going to happen.
I have no idea.
We both have shows tonight.
We have no idea what's going to happen tonight. But you also, your gig, I mean, you get to, interview some of these like some of my heroes, honestly. But what is that like? I mean, I don't know if you ever talk about this on this pod, but that's a pretty cool gig that a lot of people would really like. They strive to get a gig like that.
Thank you.
And it's been something you've been doing for a while now, right?
It's exactly like this. The only difference is it's shorter.
Nice.
I try to do the podcast to really get to know people I admire also in the stand-up scene. But I think the reason I've always done that is because I truly am curious and I just want to get to know people and I want them to shine. Like my job having you on, we're talking about your life and career. I want to have fun with you. Truly, genuinely. I want people to get to know you. If you are the villain to the world, look at how nice and chill you're being here.
Hell yeah.
No, but I'm saying like I sense how people are and I like to bring that out in them. But that's how that job is for me.
Hell
and
yeah.
I don't really see anybody like I don't see celebrity. I don't believe in it. It's like maybe an Italian pride thing. Like I've been with the biggest celebrities in the world, and I'm like, what's going? I like crack the same jokes I crack with you.
I love that.
And I think that's really helped me too, because it's like I'm not really. And we're talking about like environments, because you said you now are comfortable in auditions. It's taken me as long as an interviewer to feel that way, where I could walk in a room. This just happened like a week ago, where it's like an A-list movie star and 30 people that are being paid by them to whatever it is, publicists, the studio, this. That's comfortable now. So it's taken a while to get comfortable also. And then you still have moments like when my heroes in the room, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's really them. Like, why am I the guy who's going to do that? I have a little bit of an identity crisis because my jobs, I have to get things for my jobs. I also think like a comedian more now than I do like a journalist. I'm not a journalist. So I do get scared sometimes I won't do the best job because I'm just trying to go for the joke most of the time.
Sure.
So
Trust me, I think anytime that you watch those interviews, you often are just like, here's another vanilla interview with a celebrity. I would like to see their reaction if something wild happened. If they actually got a question that was interesting. Like I love your riff with like Will Ferrell when you made him go into he was talking fake French, know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything fun like that in an interview in a while, And Will Ferrell was one of my fun, like he was one of my, I would say he was one of my comedy idols growing up. You know what I mean? Like Eastbound and Down was probably my favorite show of all time.
Oh yeah.
But also just all the movies that he did. The Other Guys, the best. Freaking The Boys. I mean the Old School, back in the day. But so many Anchorman. Of course, Anchorman. But so he was one of my comedy heroes. So just to see him like riff again and have some fun, I love that. I love that. But it's hard to get genuine reactions from a celebrity too. So I think that you doing that is probably I think that's a good thing.
Thanks, man. I'm trying to, I think being in LA makes you feel competitive. Like I'm trying not to, because I know a lot of people who do what I do, and compare culture kind of kills my joy of it.
Sure.
And I'm trying to get out of that space mentally because I've done this long enough. So I'm kind of like, what do I bring to it? And don't overthink it so much. And as a comedian, I have to step back. Like when you have Steve Carell playing to a little bit you created, just shut up.
Right.
And I've watched myself back and been like, why are you talking over Steve Carell? So I criticize myself a little bit, but I'm just so grateful to be in the rooms where I have the opportunities and have worked in this business enough to be in the room still with them. Like these few jobs I have in that space, I'm just holding on for dear life and grateful to be a part of it. And I'm trying to make
Yeah.
one work. Actually, I'm on the East Coast next week, and I'm about to do one that I'm like working on right now. I'm like, just make it happen. I'm still feel like a kid that's just lucky to be in those rooms, you know. So
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
it's awesome. No, yeah. You're very blessed, but also the hindsight's 2020. It's hard
Yeah.
to watch yourself back and watch interviews and shit. Like nobody talks about that because there's not a lot of people that do the stuff we do.
Yeah.
But like it's tough, man. It's a tough part of the gig.
I can't watch my stand-up sets back, and now I want to get bigger in stand-up. You have to post your clips. You have to watch them.
It's so tough, man.
It's so weird though, because like our egos, and maybe you struggle with this. Like it's such a like believe in yourself, be confident, and have a healthy ego that puts you in front of people on stage.
Yeah.
But then like behind closed doors, like I'm not a narcissist where I'm like watching my clips and my stand-up and laughing at myself, and that's what I just want to grow my audience.
Right.
But I'm not like into any of that stuff. I just want the moments. I want this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, trust me, man. I watching your stand up has to be one of the most difficult fucking things. Anybody who watches their own stand up and enjoys it, they're a psychopath.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to the biggest stand-ups in the world. I don't think they're capable. It's just so weird.
No.
We all want to people please in a way too. Like we want the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I could watch? Supercut every laugh I got with a camera on the audience.
That'd be
And I would
great.
just sit there and watch them and know I made them do that. And I'd be like, wow,
That's awesome.
I feel great.
Fuck
And then when I
yeah.
see myself, I'm like, ah.
Yeah, man.
What's been
trust
the
me.
most surprising thing for you, like entering? Because when you say I'm a stand-up comedian, especially with your history from the reality show and the YouTube, when you say like I'm a stand-up comedian, has anything been surprising entering that space for you that you're enjoying so far?
You know, I never thought meeting so many of the people that either follow the podcast or like just fans of stand up. I love the people that I meet, the
Yeah.
fans, the people that come out and watch. They're really cool, man. It's like it reminds you because you see 10 comments on your reel, your YouTube or whatever. You're only reading the mean ones. You know what I mean? You're only really registering the bad ones. You see like 9 good ones, but the bad one is the one that like stays in your head sort of.
Yeah.
So in person, it's so positive. It's so like, a community of people that just want to like have fun with you that it makes me feel better about the world. It makes me feel like, everything that you read online about the state of things and how horrific it is. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe in real life, it's not that bad. Although LA, growing up here, this is the worst, the homeless problem's ever been. And maybe crime too. The crime and the homeless, it's pretty, this is the most I've ever heard of people getting robbed, things like that. So it is a little harsh out there right now. But at the same time, meeting people from the community, they just want to like laugh and come out and watch. The people that come out to stand up are awesome. And that's been really surprising and fun for me. And the reward of doing stand-up is just, there's nothing better. Besides, I used to love theater.
Yeah.
And I used to love playing comedic roles in theater when I could. That was always kind of like more forte. If they had a character that needed, that had to have some comedic timing, that was my thing. And then I was able to find stand-up to kind of replace that feeling.
Yeah.
Because, theater, just that really doesn't pay,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Because you're a good actor, though, your act outs are good, and you could use acting
Yes.
within stand up, and you do, and that's where it's magical too. Because like I always see good actors on stage, and I'm like, you could tell in their stand up when they do characters, they do a scenario. It's like, wow, they're acting.
And I've seen yours too, and you also use your acting ability.
Oh, thanks. I don't ever think I have that as much. I think. Thank you for saying that because I'm always insecure about the act out. I'm like, if my act out doesn't get a laugh in 5 seconds, I abandon it. I don't commit, and I'm like, what? Look at this guy. Like I get insecure. But you really just have to double down on the commitment.
You got to double down.
You're like-
It's so hard,
You're
man.
like, if it's silent, you could earn the laugh. But if you're acting out for 20 seconds, and you don't get a laugh. You're like, why am I doing this character?
Oh man, it's
hard.
tough. It's tough.
But I love that you're saying that. It is very rewarding, and also I like that you're saying that about the world because I get philosophical sometimes about this as a father now. We've just so in technology. Look, the most moment I have off my phone is right now. It's on the podcast. I'm sure it's like this for you.
Yep,
We're
absolutely,
talking, we're in the
bro.
and on stage.
Yes.
But our society is losing these cultivated times. So it is a lot more real out there, like with our differences in the comedy club. That's why we do our jobs.
Yes.
That's why we do this stuff. You're talking about authenticity between people when you meet your fans. That is the ticket that we all don't see a lot anymore, and especially for someone like you who gets hate online.
Oh yeah.
You don't see that on your phone. You have to not read this stuff because real life is what's better.
Oh yeah,
you know?
real life is the best. Yeah, compared to what you're seeing online, it doesn't even compare. I mean, out of the people that hate comment online, I actually met a couple. See, the thing is, like I'll on my Instagram, I've kind of tailored it so that if any of my fans, if they say something hateful, you're getting blocked on my Instagram. So they know that. So I've met some of the guys, like they'll come to a show and they're like, "Hey, you're the man. You know, let me take a picture." And then afterward, they're like, "By the way, you know, you blocked me like a year ago." Like I said something, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's so nice." So maybe he was just like having a bad day or whatever it was, but it still makes you a little more hopeful about the world because I mean, you read like, oh my God, like read any celebrity's Instagram like comments. Oh my God, like The Rock, you know, J-Lo, it's like 95% hate comments. Yeah, J-Lo is just 1,000 comments and 900 of them are hate. It's insane.
And these are successful people, which it's kind of a weird part of our culture now where like to be successful is to be hated.
Oh yeah.
Why is the world that way?
I don't know, man. It's not how I am. Have you ever written? I feel like I've never, maybe like on a Yankees, like, you know, I'm a big baseball fan. Maybe like one time I was like, "Get it together, Yanks," you know, like maybe one time, but like I don't hate online.
No, it's a art form in its own kind of an art form. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
And most people are not as connected. Like we're real people. I think when there's a separation from people who aren't, and this sounds very self-righteous, but if you're not in our business, there is a separation. You're just a guy on a screen far away from my reality if I'm a hater, you know, and that's all it is.
That's 100%
what it is.
In
person, they're like, "Oh, he's actually nice," and like, not a douche, even though he has resting douche face. He's not a douche, and that's it's human to human. It's Don Rickles, like we're talking about. It's human to human. It's these real. I like you in your comedy because I think that's what we need now more than ever. You know, like be a handsome, strapping guy and be nice and funny.
Man. That's right.
Don't be a douche, dude.
That's right.
Right?
100%, man.
Like don't because you could be.
Could be.
Are you?
Absolutely.
No.
No,
I know you're not because I invited you in.
Hell yeah.
I wouldn't have, but I also like the way you speak. Like you have a really unique voice. Like you have a good. I know you're on your podcast with your voice. You have a good. Like you could go announce a game or do a radio show.
Appreciate that.
Like a sports. Like you have an interesting voice for this too.
Appreciate that. Obviously you do too. And
I don't know, but you sound like you could like read. You could like read an announcement or something?
I could do. You know, I feel like I've gotten that. It's probably developed through the podcast. I think when I first started, I think I was a little more nasally, and I've worked on kind of my voice a little bit. You know what I mean, through the years. But
did you watch The Bachelorette or anything back then and be like,
I couldn't, to be honest.
That's good. That's good.
Specifically, that show is not designed for me. I would say it was not. God, it just seemed so. It was so soap opera-y, and like they would just like. It was just not entertaining to me, to be honest, but it was. I could see the appeal. I could see why people would want to keep watching. They have the soap opera kind of like format the hook. So
I was just wondering if you saw something of yourself with your voice and you're like, I'm going to tweak this like that, or I mean, I guess I don't overthink it, but from a stand-up perspective, yes.
Yeah.
I used to be very announcery and hosty from this job. So I get on stage and be like, "Ladies and gentlemen," because I used to do weddings and bar mitzvahs growing up.
Nice.
So like I would have that in my bones. So I kind of.
That's how you got the reps.
Yeah, but I'm better when I'm casual. If I'm on stage, I'm like, "So guys, the other day I went to." Then it's like I'm just having a relationship with someone.
Exactly.
But if I'm just like, it's not really.
It's not real, yeah.
And I don't even like watching. There's some stand-ups that I've, in the scene that like it's too performative to me.
I agree, man. I've even just like some of the older guys that used to have that style. It was a little bit more performer based, like for a long time. I feel like now they're really have gotten almost to it's like they need some more performance in there. It's so relaxed. There's just a lot of guys just like not moving on stage, I kind of like using the whole vessel for comedy. I want people to use their body for comedy. That's why I've always liked. I grew up. I used to like a lot of the black comedians, like Cat Williams and like. Eddie Murphy were kind of like guys that I really loved, and they used their whole bodies, and they're really kind of outland. They were performative but real at the same time, you know. And that's the craft. That's the master craft. That's so hard.
What we're all selling with stand-up, which like takes a while to figure out, because I think when you start, you just want to be like your heroes, and then you start to get your voice. It's just authenticity. If you go on stage and talk about your real life, and you can be casual, but also how you are. I struggle with that every show. It's like, how true is this? And that's what I think you start to chisel at. It is kind of therapeutic and very like transformative though, because we are bearing everything. Like the best comedy I've ever done is like completely honest and real, and that's what works is real shit.
Yeah,
Real.
no, I've always felt like that. The truth, even just like I'm in a high level acting class that is just it's like the gym, right? If you don't go for too long, I kind of get unsharp. I feel like I'm not as like locked in auditions, but. Basically, the idea is that he wants you to find your truth in that scene, and that brings out that reality, that like moment of truth that's inside of you that like show the world, and then that's what the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. So getting to that on stage, that's what takes 10 years.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
why everybody's always like, takes 10 years to be a good stand-up. It's just because you stop giving a shit after probably year 7, and then you're just yourself up there, man. But it's hard.
How have the reps been? Because I've just been I'm not as consistent. I have a show tonight, but like there were weeks out of the year I'm up almost every night here in LA,
Nice.
and then other weeks nothing for weeks. Do you have that inner monologue where you're like, I don't know about this anymore? Do you struggle with the ups and downs of the world? Because it is that way.
Oh, yeah, man. I think it's normal to struggle with the ups and downs of the stand-up game. I mean,
Especially
for God's
here.
sakes. Oh, yeah, dude. I do an outside fucking show once a week. So it's like, you don't hear the laughs. It's really like I'm doing it just to get like, something out of it, right? And yeah, dude, you struggle with it. The way I look at it is kind of like, thank God for baseball. See, because I was so bitter for a long time that I didn't make it to the bigs. And, some of my friends made it, man.
Nice.
And, they got $40 million in the bank right now. So, it's like, if I was still looking at stuff like that, I'd be bitter. But what baseball gave me was this one ability to look at things like a failed performance stand-up and just look at it like a rep. Yeah. And I got just a little better. Like I had to have a bad game every now and then to get better, right? So you have a bad performance, you do crowd work and it's not funny. You do, you don't get any laughs. Some girl says something, or a guy says something to you. It's a heckle. They get you. They're funnier than you that day. And it's like, God damn, it's humbling, man. Yeah. But I look at it, I can look at it because of, I think, the athletics that I've played throughout my life as just something that I'm doing just to get a little better. It makes, like, for example, I was telling you that I had this audition for a pretty big spot, and I had to do a very wordy, long monologue in a room, a callback, with just 7 people on laptops, a tiny room, probably smaller than this, and it's the worst, it's the easiest place to get nervous. Yeah. But because, I do that outside show every week. It's 10 times easier, and it's because every one of those reps, even if they are, the up and down. And look, I don't get a lot of reps, to be honest. I produce basically every show that I'm on in LA. It's just, if we really want to get reps, we'd have to go to New York. I mean, that's the truth. Yeah. But doing it out here, it's my only choice. And I produce the shows that I'm on, usually 1 or 2 a week. That's about all I can muster up. But it's a slow process, but I do feel like I'm getting better as I do it,
That's awesome. I love, it's okay. Thanks. You just put it back. I love that analogy that I've never thought of, but you're basically describing, in any art form, especially stand-up, it's just another at-bat.
It is, man.
Or it's another at-bat. It's the bat with the donut, maybe. And
exactly.
It's this another. You're maybe the bat boy in this analogy,
right?
Or no, you're swing. It's a bat with a donut practice swing.
Exactly.
Practice swings. Maybe.
It's practice swings. Yeah.
Practice swings.
You're practicing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do think of the gym when I do stand-up. I just did a show at a club I won't mention with like here, but no one was there, and I got booked last minute, and it's a club. I'm like, of course I'll go. Smaller room at a club. No one was there but comedians. And like, I guess it's my ego I'm battling. As I walked in, first of all, I didn't promote it. I didn't try and get anybody there. But I was like, well, this environment's terrible. How am I going to work at anything? And guess what I got out of it? A swing at something I never did that now I can use the next show. So it's just improvement. Yep. That's the game of this, though. Like, you can't be defined by who's there or what night. Even the biggest stand-ups I've talked to, man, you just keep doing shows. Keep going. It's like you don't stop doing it.
Yeah,
it's
no, I listen to We Might Be Drunk with Mark Norman and Sam Burrell. So funny. But they talk about how, because you don't think of Mark Norman as a guy that someone might not know. Yeah. But because they do so many shows in New York, he says he'll do a bar show where no one knows him. Yeah. And he'll get 0 laughs. Mark Norman.
Wow, he's such a good joke writer.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah. He's like, dude, he's like, yeah, they didn't know me. I got no laughs. He's like, it's crazy how New York is. It's just like he'll go to they'll do 5 shows in a night, and Mark Norman might bomb 2 of those.
Yeah.
So that's when you're getting to that level, then you really like a bomb is nothing. You're just like, all right, well, I got to figure out how to make these people laugh next time. But I'm
gonna keep the baseball analogy. You strike out a bunch, you just keep swinging. That's it,
yeah,
dude. And then you get home runs.
Yeah, Aaron Judge, dude. I mean, he's up there. I think he leads the league right now. I think he's like second in batting average and first in home runs and RBIs in the American League, but he's also up there in strikeouts as the leader. So that's like a new, that's how it is now, man. You can figure it out. If you swing for the fences, you might strike out a bunch of times, but you're going to connect too.
No greatness comes from, you're not just great overnight anyway. You got to work at it.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that. There's Seinfeld did a great documentary called Comedian like 15, 20 years ago. Have you ever seen it?
No.
What's so interesting with this is he abandoned all of it. He was on the road for a while, abandoned all of his material.
Wow.
And what I love about the humility of this documentary, what you're describing, is Jerry Seinfeld, the most famous the show was over, but still the most famous stand-up name in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And he's working on his new hour, and he shows him going to New York and working on his new hour from scratch.
Oh,
and so he goes to the cellar and does not do well.
Right.
And so I tell comedians about this because I'll watch it like once a year now doing this. Because when you go see Seinfeld, like, not get laughs because he's working on a new hour,
right,
you realize we all are in the same playing field and we all can get better.
Yep.
I love that stand-up levels all of us like that. Like, you could be making millions of dollars in an arena tour. You got to go back to the drawing board. And that's my biggest problem. Like, sit down, get material, separate your material, get better, go on stage, work on it. Like, that process he shows. He's tweaking something. He goes to do it another show. He tweaks it again. Mm-hmm. Showing that process, it's like I love it, man. Like, no other field, when you reach the top, do you have to kind of go back to square one every time. It's just always that.
Yeah. It's got to be the art form that keeps you the most humble, because I mean, Picasso at the end, he could just scribble something that was $100,000, you know what I mean? But yeah, that process is brutal, but once you kind of fall in love with it, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
And then you realize that if you want to keep growing, you need to feel those growing pains. Like, I'm not funny again, damn it. Like, now I need another hour. These jokes have gotten stale. I got to come up with some new things, and it's wonderful. And then the thing is, what's cool about joke writing, in my opinion, or just stand up or anything, is like, I can be working anywhere. Like, if I go see a film that I enjoy and it inspires me to write a joke, if I'm just walking around, people watching, listening to like a podcast or listening to music, but I people watch and then something comes up, write it down on my notepad. It's just fun to be able to that's how you exist, is you go around kind of just thinking about things that might be funny. It's just it's a good existence.
Yeah, the lens is always on, your ears are always on. I just have to catalog my notebook on my phone, but like, yes, always something is like, oh, this would be a funny bit, and then it comes out when you least expect it.
Yep.
Dude, I love it. I think it's a great game to be a part of. I feel grateful that we're in the running. I just keep doing baseball analogies.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude.
We're in the pitchers. What's it called? The pitchers.
We're in the in the batter's circle is where where you're about to go up next to hit. But you could be on the pitcher's mound.
The pitcher's mound. No, what's the guy at the bullpen?
Yeah, we're in the bullpen.
Bullpens. You're just throwing.
We're just warming up, just keep getting better, and when we're going to be in the game eventually.
I love it. I think we're in the game. I think you're in the game, man. I love seeing everything you're doing.
Appreciate you.
Tell everybody about where we could follow you for your podcast and YouTube and everything, just so make sure everybody follows you.
Sure, man. If you guys want to check out a pretty funny podcast, The Leo and Danny Show on YouTube. It's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, LeoF.Dot. I post a lot of my stuff there, reels from my YouTube channel that I work with. If you want to check out the YouTube videos, they're long, extended comedic documentaries, about 20 to 40 minutes. They're on Danny Mullen's YouTube channel. So check that out, and I appreciate you guys.
You're killing it, man. And thank you for coming. I wanted to have you in here for a while, and I feel like you're just such a chill, humble dude doing great things.
Appreciate you, dude.
So I appreciate you chilling, man.
Appreciate you,
Thanks
man.
for coming on.
I appreciate you, man. I look up to you too, man, and keep doing what you're doing.
Get out of here.
It's amazing that you can have a family and still follow your dreams and like make a living for your family doing these things. I mean, you're in the minority, my man. There's not a lot of guys like us can do it.
I appreciate saying that because I haven't talked to my family in 3 days. So I just said 3 months. They have it's all on paper. It's all on Instagram. They don't know who I am. I was kidding. No, you're right, man. It's all about balance, and actually, real life makes us better comedians too. So I didn't get into comedy until I had kids. Like I didn't double down on stand up. I was like, oh wait, I guess I have to talk about it now. So real life, I think, helps. But thank you, bro.
I love that.
It's good to hang with you. Thank you for being a real one in this scene, looking me in the eyes, showing up. I mean, that's breaking down the stereotype of your hometown. You know what I mean?
Of course, baby.
Yeah,
no. The Valley Boys. I'm from the Valley.
Valley Boys are real.
Valley Boys are real, man. Yeah. So you picked I think the best spot in LA to live, in my opinion, Studio City.
Well, you're a good example, man. You're like the mascot of over here, and you moved out, right?
Yeah, dude. I'm over by the Grove now, but you know, I'll be back. It was just because it was a great deal during COVID. They just a very cheap apartment. But when I purchase again in the next couple of years, be back in Studio City.
Who are you kidding, dude? I know you have that resting face, but you love being by the Grove where the women go to Air One over there.
I'm single, so yeah.
I know what you're doing, dude.
You know, you're a good man. You must. You have sharp eyes, but
I know what you're doing.
The women over there, it's nice. It's a nice area for that.
An Air One smoothie. Check out Leo Everett. He's super funny. Go see him live on the road or anywhere in LA. And we will see you next week for the Pablo Paul and Friends. Bye, everybody. This episode was brought to you by Barefoot Dreams, our sponsor this season that is making my studio, my life, my friends, and my family comfier and cozier than ever before. I actually took a nap with this blanket the other day, and something funny happened where I thought I was in a cloud in heaven, but I was really just snuggling with the Barefoot Dreams blanket. Okay, they didn't ask me to make jingles, and I probably shouldn't because that's not really what they wanted me to do, but I was in a mood. I'm in a mood from talking to Leo that I want to just have more fun, but very grateful that I think a piece of them is on my face right now, so obviously the comfy can shed a little. No, they are so fun and awesome and comfortable, and I'm grateful for them to be a part of this season. I'm also going to shout out their sister company, Alpha Pals, because we have it in a few episodes, and this is a brand you can also get at their shops or online. Alpha Pals makes cute letters like this, small letters, things for kids and parents alike, and I like this as a father because, look, I could teach my daughter how to spell. My one daughter who's 6 is just learning how to spell, and we use this a little bit. Now my other daughter who's 1 likes the shapes and the smileys. Very cute products for the whole family and beyond. That's Alpha Pals. That's a sister company, so check them out. And then also, I want you to go to Barefoot Dreams because they're part of the pop-up show and Pop-Up with Paul and Friends this season. You can get 15% off your first purchase by visiting barefootdreams.com. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.